So we have a few what you consider antiques, high-end artists. We have handcrafted jewelry. So we have anywhere, we laugh, anywhere from fine art to dog treats. And
For the more sophisticated dog, he can get a treat and a painting.
the dog treats are homemade.
Oh, no way. By you?
No, not by me.
Oh, okay.
By another vendor.
Well, thanks for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
The store is the Emporium on Main. We have about 124 different vendors within the store. So I'm one of the larger vendors in the store. And I was also the vendor who helped set up the ConsignCloud software for everybody to use.
Okay. Can you tell us about your journey becoming one of the main vendors at Emporium?
I actually had my own retail store. I sell Fiesta dinnerware, if anybody's familiar with that. And it got to the point that I was kind of tired of being by myself 6 days a week, and made an option to move into this consignment shop. They started out in a much smaller location just a year ago, in fact. Took the opportunity 1 year ago to move into a 10,000 square foot building with 3 levels and, like I said, 124 independent vendors within the building.
Wow, that is huge. What are some mistakes you've made along the way, and how did you recover from those? So I think you can answer those both potentially as a vendor and a key holder.
Probably the biggest mistake is going with the wrong software to begin with.
Okay.
We used a different program. In fact, when I first moved into the Emporium, it was a smaller business. I don't think there was probably 35, maybe 40 small vendors at that point in time. And it was all done by hand. They kept the tags off the item, and she figured that at the end of the month who sold what based on those tags. And the first time I saw that, I told her, you can't do that. So we went with another software program, and we had headaches from that day one, but we stuck with it for almost a year.
Okay.
And then I was given the challenge of finding new software. And I will be honest, when I come across one of the requirements is we wanted to continue using our square registers.
Mm-hmm.
Which limits the software we can use. And the first time I run across ConsignCloud and I opened the chat window and talked to somebody, they responded within 20 minutes, which, seeing I was just nobody out of the blue, I thought that was wonderful. Answered my question immediately, because it would take days to get a response out of the other software.
Wow.
So that was really a big selling point for us. When I asked a lot of questions before we even started the trial, they answered my questions immediately, and it was wonderful.
Wow, that's great to hear. So at the Emporium, what are top practices y'all have put in place that lead to your success or your profits?
Everything being barcoded to make it simple to process and check out at the register. That's been a huge thing. You know, the goal here is to make every small vendor a successful business. So we're finding ways to help promote even the smallest business in within our Emporium. Everybody's individuals, so we're always, putting out suggestions on how to improve your booth space, or moving product around to make it look fresh and new. So that's always a challenge. And working with, I don't get to work always personally with a lot of them, but working with about 124 people sometimes can be hard.
Absolutely. How did ConsignCloud become a part of your store's workflow?
Well, like I said, I had the challenge of finding software to replace the very poorly software we were using. And I had a lot of support from the support team at ConsignCloud to take our old data and that we had and convert it to be able to import it into ConsignCloud and to set the vendors up. We don't always follow along your direct suggestions. We've kind of made some workarounds to make it work best for us. We just recently turned on the emails to our vendors, so they're getting their reports every month and that type of thing. And we didn't have those options before, so it was a challenge. We had to cut it off at the end in the middle of December. People could no longer add product, and we had to follow up with sales. It was a 3-month process getting ready, and we turned it on the first of the year. So it's been but I had so much support, I will say.
Okay. So obviously you've been using ConsignCloud for a while, but for you, what is the most beneficial thing about ConsignCloud?
It works, but one of the biggest things, the integration with the square register for us. We didn't want to change the process at the register we were using, and also, it follows all the way through. If we have a return, it records that return like it should. I will say the previous software wouldn't handle returns, and it was kind of a nightmare. And not that we do a lot of returns, but it takes one to mess up the day. The positive thing, the report's going to the vendors that they're seeing what they're selling, and the simpleness of putting in a product. That's a huge thing.
Okay.
And printing labels. Well, printing labels have been great once we got it set up. And convince vendors that they can print from home and they'll be here in the store when they come in. That's been a challenge to convince them it was going to work, but once people got started, they love it.
Okay, so you got vendors printing at home. That's awesome.
Yeah, we do.
It's available, but you'd be surprised it's not used very frequently. I think there's that kind of scary, I don't know, barrier where it's like, how do we get started? But that's great.
It was a little challenge getting it started. A lot of testing, a lot of playing around, getting the labels that we wanted to use. Currently, we have 2 zebras and a Dymo printer hooked to it, and other than getting the instructions out how to choose the right printer and the right label, it works great.
Okay. So what does y'all's intake and pricing strategy look like as a vendor mall?
So all the intakes are based, we don't, not like a consignment, we don't control the intake. So every vendor brings in their own products, every vendor prices their own products. So that's why they use the vendor login to add their products, price the products. They print their labels, label it and bring it in and put it in their booth. So we don't do any of the pricing of products for them. And that's why it's important that they can print their labels here and come in and get them to mark their products, and they can easily add their own items.
Yeah. How do you personally as a vendor price and do intake?
Well, for me, it's a little different probably than most of what the other businesses that are using ConsignCloud, because I'm from a pre-existing retail business, and most of my products are going to be new, bought from a manufacturer. So I'm haven't required minimum advertised pricing or suggested retail pricing, and so I'm not taking something that I bought and trying to figure out a price for it. But most of that, so we have anywhere from fine art to dog treats. And so we have a few what you consider antiques. We have some high-end artists. We have handcrafted jewelry.
For the more sophisticated dog, he can get a treat and a painting.
The dog treats are homemade.
Oh no way! By you?
Yeah. No, not by me.
Oh, okay.
By another vendor.
Wow.
But, so it's hard for me to answer that question directly, because I don't normally have products that's not retail, new from the manufacturer. I have some, and then I just base my pricing from experience, and sometimes I'll go out on eBay and figure pricing and that kind of stuff, more collectible items.
Right.
But a lot of stuff just goes at suggested retail, and then sometimes some manufacturers they have suggested retail, and then they have minimum advertised price, and so you kind of fall between those two figures to price it. And
Okay.
I'm, like I said, and as far as handcrafted stuff that other vendors do, I couldn't tell you exactly how they price it out. So
Yeah. A few more questions here, and then we'll be done. How did you first get involved in the consignment and resale world?
by moving into this building with everybody else, it wasn't something I even had to consider, because I had previously owned my own store and was attempting to kind of downsize and reduce my workload. I figured someplace where I could still put my product and have it available, but I wouldn't have to be there 6 or 7 days a week. And it just kind of fell into place for me. Yeah, it was kind of this downsizing for me from for my own retail store.
Yeah. And at the Emporium, what are you most proud of?
So we're doing really well. I'm doing well in the store. Like, we've only been in this location for 1 year, so we're still learning the shopping patterns of our town. I think the vendors of the Emporium have formed a community. We kind of consider our own community. Uh, the vendors run the cash register during the day, so everybody helps everybody, that type of thing. And so I've really, the enjoyment of people helping people for sure is changed in this type of location compared to where I was by myself.
Yeah, it sounds a lot more communal, a lot more teamwork, and just appreciation from the community.
Yeah, it really is. Like I said, there's 5 key holders, and one of them doesn't really open the store up, but she's in charge of all the projects that need to be done. Or if we need to move a vendor's booth and reorganize the store, she takes care of that. Or the decorating the front windows. So everybody kind of joins in on different committees that we formed. So it makes a community within the business, and I think that's what makes this business really run better than some other ones.
Yeah. If there was a vendor mall who was getting started or they were struggling in their business, what would be 2 points of advice you'd want to give them?
I think one is honestly to be selective as who you bring in, and try to make it a community. Try to get the vendor involved. We find if the vendors are here and they work their booths or they move things around, they're going to sell more. And then if somebody just puts something in here and walks away and might come back once a month, they just don't do as well. And that's something we're seeing all the way across the board. So get your vendors involved for sure.
Yeah. What's the best way y'all have gotten your vendors involved? Is it through, communication with emails? Is it having a pizza party? How do you keep vendors involved?
So we have a schedule. The vendors volunteer to work the register on 4-hour shifts. One of the things that sets up, if a vendor works so many hours, maybe it's 12 hours a month, it kind of depends on how big a booth space they have. They get a discount in the commission that they pay for putting in volunteer times. They also, we do a monthly vendor meeting to inform vendors of what's happening within the Emporium. We have different committees, like a committee that does decorating and decorates the front windows or something like that. We have a committee that does projects. Maybe we need to have, this is an old building. We're in a old 1939 J.C. Penney's building.
How cool.
So it's cool, but there's a lot of work in an old 1939 building. And so maybe we need to hang something on a wall, or a big project, we need to renovate our bathroom in this building. So that's coming up, and we got vendors that are volunteering to do that.
Oh, wow.
So, and that goes towards their volunteer time and towards the discounted commission that they get. So it is truly a vendor run business.
Wow. I've got 2 questions and then we'll be done.
Okay.
What makes you a successful vendor?
I think it's really putting time in making sure you keep things fresh in your own space, in your booth, keeping items stocked, always, you need to move things around because people come in. We have repeat customers and they won't see it the first time, but sometimes you just move things around a little bit, they see it the second time through. I think.
And by move things around, do you mean kind of arrange it differently
Right.
in the display, basically? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
rearrange the displays and that kind of thing. When I say I'm the biggest vendor in here, I've got about let's see, I think it's about 19 feet deep and 32 feet wide. So that's my space. So I have a lot of work to do.
Absolutely. And final question, what do you enjoy most at the Emporium on a day-to-day basis?
The interaction with the people, the interaction with the vendors. I've been labeled the IT person. I do the training on the ConsignCloud software. If they have problems, they come to me, or if they have problems printing the label. So it's the day-to-day people and the vendors and the customers that makes it so enjoyable.
Awesome. Well, Kay, that's all I had for us.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but I really appreciate it. This is really valuable to us. Thank you for using ConsignCloud, being willing to do this. This is really generous of you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah,